Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 26 My Team Career Mode, and today we're here for the third round of our first season for the America's GP at Texas. Now, if you didn't see the last episode at the Brazilian Grand Prix, I do recommend you go check that one out before we do get into this one. It was another weekend affected by mixed weather, but the performance was a little bit higher, and of course there was some absolute carnage in the main race. Moving back to this episode though, we're starting off a little bit differently. The first thing that we are doing this weekend isn't actually practice. We were invited to the Mandelica circuit by Fabio Quartararo to do a bit of a Yamaha race-off event. So here we are on the grid. Put me on pole position apparently, so I won't complain. First pole of the career mode has now been achieved. But here we are then, the lights are on, waiting for the lights to go out here at Mandelica. Lights out, away we go, and we do a massive wheelie off the line. That is not the way that you want to start. I think I turned the anti-wheelie down thinking it was a super bike and there's just going to be less power, but didn't quite go to plan. Although in turn one, we've just absolutely blitzed straight back around the outside. The AI would go so on the straight there. I'm not sure what the other guys were doing. We've ran pretty wide through turn one though. Fabio Quartararo comes back up the inside. But we're now back up in second place. Dixon behind us in third place. Dixon getting invited as well, of course, us being Yamaha riders all getting invited to this event. But it's been a decent start. Not the best initial launch with the wheelie, but yeah, not too bad now that we are back up behind Fabio Quartararo. Speaking of which, though, we just go flying past him like he's standing still through this section of the track. And we're now cutting to the last lap here, coming towards the line. We just absolutely dominated this event. So yeah, I'm not sure what was going on in this one, but everybody else seems really, really slow. I mean, you can see in the background there, no one. Absolutely no one for miles. And there you go, we won the race by about 7 seconds there, ahead of Tony Arbolino actually in second place. Not sure where his Yamaha connection is these days. I guess he was with the Blue Crew team previously, and then with Alex Rins then in third place, Fabio Quartararo fourth, and Jake Dixon rounding out the top five. So first pole position and first race win then achieved in the career mode, albeit not actually a MotoGP race weekend. Speaking of which, it was time to head into the actual race weekend then at the Circuit of the Americas. And as you can see, practice didn't start off the best because I was making an absolute meal of the S's. It really was a tricky one for me. It took me quite a bit of time to get up to speed at the circuit. The bike wasn't feeling particularly good. And the session just got even worse for us as a team, because you can see here, Jake Dixon got a long lap penalty. I believe he had contact with somebody in the session and was able to pick up a penalty actually then that would apply to the main race. We did, however, get our stuff sorted out, and we ended up in fourth place at the end of the session. I actually didn't have the footage of me completing that lap, so apologies for that one. But you can see we did end up there. Although Alex Rins was in third place, so we actually weren't the top Yamaha this time. But that does mean two of us going through to Q2, which is always good to see, because of course, as much as I want myself to do well, I want our team to do well, I also want Yamaha as a manufacturer to do well, because of course that benefits all of us. Alex Rins is a bit of a Cota specialist, so not too surprising to see him up there, although still a bit strange on the Yamaha considering the performance that he has had so far this season. But you can see the top two guys, nothing strange about those two. We've got Marc Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi. Actually, moving on to the qualifying session itself now, though, you can see Aldeguer and Didier Antonio were the two riders who made their way through Q1. So, unfortunately, you can see on the right side, all the other Yamahas at the back. So it just seems to be me and Rins that are clicking with this circuit so far. And like I said, even for me, it was a bit of a struggle initially in practice. But here we are then, coming to the end of our very first flying lap up towards the line. What is the lap time going to be? A 2:04.4, so I can tell you that is not a good lap to start off with. So even though I did manage to hook it up in practice, it wasn't working too well. And you can see later on in the session, we've actually done a lap time 2 seconds quicker than that. And as we go through the last quarters, you can see I'm right in touch with that lap time. And we're actually under as we go through the last quarter. In fact, quite a bit there. 2/10 briefly through that up towards the line. Where's that going to put us? P6 with a 2:02.3. The yellow flag comes out there. Jean Mir's lap is cancelled. But that was good enough, of course, for 6th position at the time. Half a second off of pole position. And at the end of the session, I think one rider did go ahead of us there. So we actually ended up qualifying in 7th position. But honestly, pretty happy with that. Best performance so far of the season, of course. The first weekend, really, where it was consistent conditions between free practice and qualifying. Obviously, it was sunnier, and I was struggling with the soft tyre a little bit in qualifying. But usually we have like one dry session, one wet session, or vice versa. And I've got to kind of build back up, and it does affect us quite a bit in qualifying. But on this occasion, we actually have managed to finally get a good qualifying spot. But once again, you will notice Alex Rins has put his bike on the front row of the grid. So I don't know why he's bought his cornflakes this weekend. He is a Cota specialist, as we know, but He really does seem to have something a little bit special. And will he be able to take the fight to Marc Marquez? I'm not too sure about that one. But Jorge Martin then starting between those two. Marco Bezzecchi in fourth and Alex Marquez then rounding out the top 5. But yeah, we've got ourselves in a good spot there. If we can have as good a start as we did at Brazil in the sprint, we're certainly in the mix to try and score some points. Speaking of the sprint then, here we are down on the grid for the sprint at the USGP. And as I was just saying there, 7th position does give us a really, really good opportunity to score some points here. We've not scored any points in a sprint race yet. Thailand's sprint race was a disaster. Brazil started off really well, led into turn 1 somehow from our starting position of 10th place on the grid, but unfortunately we did just fade as the race went on. So hopefully for this one, it won't be repeated. I have decided for this to go on soft front, soft rear. Like I did say in qualifying, I was struggling with that a little bit with the heat, so we will have to see how we do get on with that one. And of course, Alex Rins in that 3rd position. I still can't get over that. The Yamaha does seem to be working a little bit better, at least under our hands here at Cota. But the lights are on. Wait till to get here for the sprint. Hell for quite a while there. Lights out. And away we go. And what's the initial launch like? Not too bad, actually. We got towards turn 1. Not as good as in Brazil, but it's never going to be. I think there's a KTM just flying up the inside there. We've got a little bit wide through turn 1. Alex Marquez and Pecco have got a bit wide there as well. Jean Mir side by side with us now as we go through turn 2. Brad Binder just ahead of us as well. So far, we've hung on to that 7th position. We've lost 2 spots and gained 2 spots, I think, as we cut the corner there a little bit on the inside of Brad Binder. So that was a pretty big misjudgment from me there. That's a really amateurish error there on the inside. But like I said, so far, we are still hanging on to that 7th position. So like I say, this is what we need to do. We need to just try and get there. As we hit Binder at the back, I don't know what's happened in front there. I think the two Aprilia guys had some sort of contact and sort of backed up into Binder. We let Binder back through there into that right-hander. I'm not sure what happened. That really caught me off guard at the time, and definitely back on the commentary as well. But either way, we've managed to escape. We've managed to stay on the bike. We've not got a penalty for that, which is lucky, because we could easily have done as Jean Mir's on the inside and Alex Marquez as well. So 2 for the price of 1 there through turn 11. And honestly, it's a bit of a surprise because the brakes have been where we've had the advantage all year so far. And we're now coming to the back straight. And I don't think there's going to be any chance for us to reply to Alex Marquez there on this Yamaha. And in fact, Pecco Bagnaya's got the run with us into turn 12. He's let on the brakes. The bike is skating all over the place into turn 12 there. A few riders go wide. Bagnaya's wide. Mir's wide as well. We cut back up the inside of Pecco Bagnaia. Mir just hanging on there in front of Alex Marquez. Can we try and get the inside of him? Not going to be able to get past Alex Marquez there, but we have reclaimed that 9th position, the last point square position in the sprint ahead of Pecco Bagnaia. But he comes back at the inside of us once again on the brakes. He's really carrying some entry speed there, although we know Pecco is good on the brakes. He always has been. It's been his sort of signature thing there. So we need to try and get him back because already we've dropped out the points. The initial few sectors there was looking pretty good in terms of hanging on to the position, but it has fallen apart a little bit through the last few corners, and we are closing right back up to the back of Pecco Bagnaia. And there's a crash in the background there. I think that's Fabio Quartararo down, so his weekend goes from bad to worse. Obviously, Alex Rins at the moment looks like he's actually leading the sprint ahead of us, so really not what Fabio wanted at all to crash out of that position with his teammate doing so well at this point. But we start the second lap then. Pedro Costa leaves us out the way there. Iagora comes through as well, and you can see that front tyre is now overheating quite a bit, which is what I was worried about in qualifying. It was overheating so much, but I thought for the sprint I had to try the soft tyre because everybody else would be on that. And someone's gone down in front there. Who is that? Whose bike is cartwheel? I think it's Jorge Martin. And we have contact with Agora there, so he gets checked up a little bit by Acosta. Jean Zarco sneaks through at the same time. So opportunistic from Zarco there. We're back at the inside of Jean Zarco. So what a sprint race has been so far. Super competitive. But unfortunately, it's not really working out for us as we've fallen outside the points, as I was saying previously, down into 11th position now. So we've got a few places to get back up, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it because I think at this point, we're just going to try and manage our front tyres. Once again, you can see it's overheating. And now Jack Miller comes on the inside, and we've been knocked off. Jean Zarco comes flying into the back of us there, into turn 11. And we're going to see a bit of a replay of that one because it kind of caught me off guard. Kind of came out their way. You can see Zarco gets it all out of shape, actually gets the bike back in line, and then just sort of releases the brake and goes straight into the back of us. That is got to be a long lap penalty for Zarco. Surely that is some irresponsible riding. On board with him here. You can see how far away he was entering the corner. That is just some reckless, poor riding there from Joan Zarco. Cutting to the leader zone now at the start of lap 3. As I said earlier, Alex Rins is leading the sprint then right ahead of Marc Marquez. Marquez all over the back of him now, so will he be able to try and make a pass through this section here. You'd expect the Yamaha to actually be quite good through these S's, obviously being quite nimble. Even with the V4, it still kind of has that compared to some of the other bikes. And cutting a little bit later into the lap now, Rins runs a bit wide. Marc Marquez comes up the inside, he levers him out of the way. So Marc Marquez retakes the sprint lead here then from Alex Rins. Can Rins respond? I'm kind of hoping he will. Again, like I said, I really want the Yamaha to do well. But he makes a bit of another mistake, and Fabio Di Giannantonio now sneaks up the inside of him. I think Rins almost went into the back of Marquez into that penultimate turn. It just allowed Di Giannantonio to get through as Rins had got a little bit wide. So started then the penultimate lap of this sprint race. It really is firing up now. Marc takes the lead, Digi second. You can see in the background there, even Bezzecchi was having a look to see if he could try and find his way past Alex Rins. Cutting on to the final lap though, back to our POV. Jake Dixon makes a bit of a mistake and we fight our way back through. Look at that front tyre though, it is absolutely scorching. It is so overheating as Jake Dixon punts us out the way then into turn 11. So not only has Zarco rammed us out the way, our teammates have now done it too, which I think we'll be having a few words about that one at the end of the weekend, because that's a little bit over the limit for me. But here we are then, back with the leaders once again. The final lap, just a couple of corners to go. Di Giannantonio now is trying to size up Marc Marquez, but into the penultimate turn, Marquez defends pretty well there. Digi tries to get the power down, but I just don't think he's able to do it into the last corner then. Digi's having a look, but he's just too far back. So through the last corner then, looks like Marc Marquez is going to bring home this sprint victory then. Ahead of Digi in second, and Alex Rins rounding off the podium. Back to us though into the last corner. You can see that red front tyre. We are going to come home in last place. Obviously after we got knocked off from Zarco, that was basically all we could do. We got back up relatively quickly, but we were on the back of the pack, which obviously was quite unfortunate. And with that front tyre, like I said, there wasn't much we could do. I think we were going to go backwards as the race went on anyway, but of course, the collision did not help. But as I said then, Marc Marquez did win ahead of Digi in second, Rins third, Bezzecchi fourth, and Jean Mir actually ended up in fifth position. Zarco somehow did not get a penalty for that incident. I do not know how, because that was really not on. I mean, I don't know what he was trying to do. He just carried so much speed into that corner. I know he got the bike out of shape a bit, but once he got it back under control, he just seemed to kind of release the brakes. Don't know if it was a bit of target fixation, but yeah, it was just a bit of a silly thing to do. And you can see at the bottom of the standings then, we had Top Rat 21st, Jake Dixon 22nd, and myself in 23rd. And Fabio Quartararo then not finishing that one. So Rins on the top of the world, but the rest of us Yamahas really having a tough time in that sprint race. We'll all be hoping for a little bit better though now as we head to the actual Grand Prix. And I don't know if it's just me, but it does look like the skies are a little bit clearer for this main race. So certainly we'll be going on the medium. I mean, I would have done anyway. If I had my time again, I'd do the sprint on the medium as well. But for the main race, the medium is going to be a prerequisite. So hopefully we don't have the tyre issues, because I think that's where we were losing so much time on the brakes on those opening couple of laps in the sprint. Still go for the soft rear, because I think the soft rear can hold on, but the front tyre definitely need to go for something a bit harder, because all these corners here, so many of them kind of trail break into hairpins, really do overheat the tyre. And Yamaha's weekend goes from bad to worse, because obviously we already know Jake Dixon would have a long lap from free practice, but Fabio Quartararo also seemingly picking one up from somewhere. Not sure where he did that, but yeah, not the ideal way to start the Grand Prix for Yamaha. Again, all hopes, I guess, with Alex Rins. But here we are then, the lights are on, waiting for them to get here then for this US Grand Prix. Lights out, and away we go. Once again, they did seem to hold for quite a long time, and we've not actually had the best jump off the line. As we go to turn, we've already dropped down into ninth place. We're a bit more aggressive this time. Pedro Acosta, though, even more aggressive on our inside as we go through turn one, and he's actually been picked up a little bit on the exit there. Bezzecchi's had a bad run as well. He seems to be holding up Pecco Bagnaia, but up to fifth place. So even though the initial run was not good whatsoever, we have actually managed to make the most of it. We're back up then into fifth place at the exit of turn one. I don't know how we've managed to do that one. So right at the back of Alex Marquez, and the plan has got to be to try and get away with these guys, try not to get involved in the melee, and then just see how things pan out from there. Cutting a little bit later though onto this very first lap, we see Alex Marquez is attacking Jorge Martin as we go into turn 12, and they've both run a little bit wide there through turn 12, and actually they've kind of turned into each other a little bit. Jorge Martin turned in on Alex Marquez, and we're opportunistic into turn 13. We got the inside of Alex Marquez up into 4th position now then. So we're literally 1 spot away from the podium. Alex looks up the inside of us though, where Pecco tried to pass us. Well, Pecco did pass us in the sprint race, but this time we've stayed ahead. We've not got the front tyre woes that we had in that one, and we're now putting ourselves in a prime position to attack the Martinator. Cutting then a little bit later on to lap 2, once again down towards turn 12, where we see a lot of riders going out of shape, and Martin once again has gone wide. We've got our way through, so we're up onto the podium. Martin comes back up the inside of us though into turn 13. We're going to hang around the outside, and he hangs us out to dry and manages to hang on to that position. Cutting then a little bit later on than the start of the 5th lap, so quite a few laps into this race, and you can see Martin has now started to stretch away a little bit from a 7/10 of a second. So he had a bit of attack in the first couple of laps, but Martin seems to have found his rhythm, and Pecco Bagnaia forces his way through at turn 1. Again, a bit more contact, so really aggressive riding here into some of these braking zones this weekend for some reason. I'm not too sure what was going on there. We had a look around the outside of Pecco Bagnaia, but we weren't able to get back in front of him, and Alex Marquez has now collected us. Alex Marquez knocks us off. A track limits warning for him at the same time there, so I think he'd cut the corner, but we'll cut to a replay cam, and let's have a look at this then. So we're watching Alex Marquez through the TV replay, and look at that. He's completely cut the corner, completely wiped me out. Nothing I could do there, and that's 2 races from 2 that we've been taken out by someone here at America, despite having some really good pace and the ability to maybe fight for a top 5 here. Alex, onboard camera, I mean, what was he even trying to do there? That's just poor, and again, I think he's somehow escaped without a long lap penalty, and I do not understand how that's happened at all though. We have managed to rebound in 12th position, so all is not lost, and Iagora there makes a mistake which allows us to get up into P11. There's still a top 10 up for grabs, so if we actually try and get up the inside then of Brad Binder, but not able to do it on this occasion. But yeah, despite the crash, it does seem like we have got good enough pace to maybe be able to actually fight our way back through and be able to get a good result. Cutting a little bit behind us though, you can see we've now got Diogo Moreira having a bit of a battle with Totrak. He's looking at the inside, he forces Totrak a little bit wide, and he loses the front, and he collects Totrak. I don't know how Totrak hasn't crashed there on that occasion. He's managed to keep it upright, but definitely been forced wide a little bit there by Diogo Moreira. On to lap 6 though, now we get punted out the way once again, and there Bastianini punts us out the way into turn 1. Takes that 11th spot from us, so even though I thought maybe we were to fight back through the pack, this is not what's happening. We are being pushed further and further in, and that's kind of why I wanted to escape with the leaders. Bastianini goes a bit wide, a bit of contact with Bastianini actually there, as I basically just tried to turn across the front of him as he'd ran wide, just trying to keep that normal racing line, because obviously at this point the red mist had descended. I've been taken out twice. I certainly wasn't best pleased. On to lap 6 though, Brad Binder completely blows turn 11. We get up the inside of him. I don't know where he was going. He was going to the stands to see the fans by the looks of it, and so did Digi Antonio really. So we've actually got a bit of a run on Digi, but I don't think there's going to be anything we can do even in the slipstream. We are actually just gaining on that Ducati, but not going to be enough. We hit the brakes into turn 12, and we know everyone's been braking pretty deep into here, go quite wide, and then we're going to be able to do it once again. Yes, we do. Digi runs wide, so we actually get back up into 9th place. So despite Bastianini, his best efforts to make it a bit more difficult for us, we do fight our way back through. So now we just need to try and get away and catch up to Bezzecchi in front. Although Digi Antonio is not dealt with yet, he punts us out the way then once again. So again, more contact here in this one, and we're looking at the inside. We try to go back up the inside of Digi Antonio there, but just not quite going to be able to pull it off on this occasion. But yeah, this has been an aggressive race, an aggressive weekend, and unfortunately we are coming out second best from a lot of these aggressive overtakes. We pick up a track limits warning there, I think our first one of the race. Actually, to get to the lap 6 at Cota without a track limits warning, we are doing quite a good job. We try and get the inside there through the last corner of Digi and Antonio, but actually I cut the curve, and I think it's affected my exit, so we're going to probably be a little bit vulnerable to Brad Binder behind. And yes, here he comes into turn 1. He's going to get us. This is a clean as you like pass, to be fair. Up the inside goes Brad Binder, so we're going to be conceded. And oh, more contact then. Bastianini comes steamrolling into the side of us there. Brad Binder came through. Bastianini was trying to be opportunistic, and then there was just a bit of contact with an air once again, and down he went. Cutting a little bit later now, though, we are all over the back of Iagora, so we've recovered a little bit from that one. Agora has a bit of a moment there. We actually had to go off track to not hit him on the back, and we actually pick up a track limits warning. And once again, everyone's moved to the apex here at turn 11, so we get up the inside of Iagora. But again, that Aprilia compared to that Yamaha has got the legs, it's got the power, so out the corner, he gets back ahead of us once again. We switch to the right-hand side of the track. Are we going to be able to do anything down into this turn 12? Doesn't look like it on this occasion, although Agora's out of shape. We're out of shape as well going into there. Agora's wide. We're up the inside of Agora. Are we up the inside of Fabio Di Gianantonio as well? I think we're going around the outside of him now through turn 13 because we've got the run. We've gone around the outside of Digi. We've got back ahead of him. So once again, we're now back up into the top 10. Digi's looking at the inside though. A favourite move of Di Gianantonio. He gets us once again there. Agora comes back up the inside of us as well. And for some reason now, Brad Binder's being given a regular overtake. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but that's definitely going to play a little bit havoc in this group as well because he's just got to the front of it. So he's going to have to try and let someone back through. It looks like he's let Agora through. Is Di Gianantonio going to be able to take advantage of it as well as we go through this penultimate turn? Digi actually gets picked up a little bit there by Binder, who's a bit still on the apex because of obviously letting through Agora. And once again, Digi dive bombs us, and so does Aldeguer. Aldeguer punts us out the way as well. And then Miller comes through as well as a result of that. So down to 14th position. So things are not going to plan. Cutting ahead to the race leaders though, obviously I didn't show them earlier on because I was actually running with them. But on lap 8, Marc Marquez has got a pretty comfortable lead, so looks like he's in a good position to try and do the double here at the circuit of the Americas. Speaking of him though, he does seem to get a trial limits warning as we come back to the live shots here, and look is what's happening in front there. Everyone gets that S section really badly wrong, and I just sort of try to thread my way through. A bit more contact again with the AI, and we kind of punt Agora out the way there. Like I said, at this point I was pretty much done. I was kind of just, I'd had enough of them riding through me, so whenever they completely mess up the corner and were nowhere near the racing line, I'd just try and take the normal racing line, just try and swoop past them. If I had a little bit of contact, so be it. But Agora tries to get us back once again into turn 11, although this time I'm the one that's actually gone out of the racing line there, and Aldeguer tries to get the power down, but actually balked a little bit by us, and I think there's someone on the left-hand side. Yeah, it's Jack Miller, and both of them go flying past us. So briefly we're back up into 11th place, but back down to 14th once again. Starting the penultimate lap of the race though, Marc Marquez has been reeled in then by Alex Rins. It's Alex Rins going to go for the win here, and he does. He goes around the outside through turn 1. Alex Rins on the Yamaha takes the lead on the penultimate lap of the race. Go on, Alex, as we go through turn 2. Yes, a bit of a moment. Oh, there's contact. They're both down. They've taken each other out. The race leaders, Marc Marquez and Alex Rins, have collided. They're both down and out of the race there. Pecco Bagnaia picks up the pieces to take the lead. Unbelievable stuff as we cut back to us then at that very same point of the race. You see the yellow flag there, which I think is for those two. Aldeguer, I don't know where he was going there, but he's got a terrible run through turn 1 because he's ran through there so much. We've taken advantage, got him through turn 2. He's looking around the outside through the S sections, are going to be able to stay ahead of him. We have just about, we've ran us both a little bit wide, and Jean Zarco, my nemesis from the sprint race, now comes through back up into 12th position. So we are having one hell of an aggressive battle here further down the order. Cutting though back to the leaders, Pecco Bagnaia into the last corner is going to win the race out of nowhere. It looked like it was going to be Marc Marquez, then Alex Rins tries to threaten for the crown, but unfortunately the two of them come together and it leaves Pecco victorious here. At the last corner for us, we're going to come home in 13th position. Not too sure why my rider seems to be absolutely over the moon with that, because I certainly wasn't after that one. Definitely a top 5 on the cards there. A podium potentially with those two crashing, because obviously we were running behind Martin before Bagnaia levered his way through. Even if you say Bagnaia got his way through, we were in front of Alex Marquez, so that would have been P5 there. And Vinales, I don't know where he came from, but obviously managed to fight his way through. Alex Rins, though, did end up finishing in 7th position, so actually he managed to get back on, but Marc Marquez was actually out of the race. So it's got some pretty big ramifications on the championship, although Bezzecchi did not capitalise too much there, only finishing in 6th. Acosta and Martin are going to be the ones to benefit really in the championship hunt. Bagnaia, not too sure where he is. He's had a bit of a rough one, so I don't think he's too close to Mark in the championship hunt. Scrolling down to us though, you can see 13th position, of course, is where we cross the line. Fabio Quartararo finished in 18th after serving his on a penalty, and Jake Dixon ended up in 19th. So even with the crash, we did once again beat our teammate by quite a significant margin. Looking at those championship standings though now, Bezzecchi leads by 16 points. So he did gain a few points back on Mark, but certainly not the best that he could have done. Marc Marquez then in 2nd position, Pedro Acosta 3rd, and Jorge Martin in 4th. So as I kind of predicted, those were the guys to benefit. Bagnaia actually up to 7th position, because now that I remember, he was actually tied on points with me, I think, going into this round. So obviously the biggest movers there, Vinales and Rins, moving up quite a lot of positions in the championship. Unfortunately for me, we moved down to 16th place. Still ahead of Fabio Quartararo in the championship though, so not the end of the world. Jack Miller at 20th, 21st for Toprak, and 23rd for Jake Dixon, although he is still in front of Anair Bastianini, so it's not all bad. Team Championship then, Aprilia lead, as you would expect, ahead of Ducati Lenovo in second, and the factory KTM guys in third place. Unfortunately for us, we moved down into 12th and last in the championship. We had moved ahead of Pramac and I think Tech 3 as well at the last round, but unfortunately, obviously no points for Jake and no points for me in the sprint, and not many points, I think 2 points for me in the main race, so not a brilliant points haul for us. Yeah, only 12 points, obviously, all coming courtesy of me so far. Moving on to the constructors then, things stay pretty steady. Ducati lead then ahead of Aprilia in second, KTM third, Honda fourth, and unfortunately us still in last place in fifth, although Alex Rins was helping us out quite a bit this weekend with that sprint podium, and unfortunately, yeah, obviously had to crash. If he'd won the race, I'm sure we'd be ahead of Honda now, but still bring home 7th place. So still actually the top scorer in Yamaha, even with the crash there in the main race. The unfortunate collision with Marc Marquez, but got to applaud him for going for it. And yeah, it wasn't really his fault. He checked him a little bit because I think he made a small error, but yeah, Marc ended up basically just careering into the back of him. But there you have it then. That is round 3 of our career mode. I'm pretty gutted. I'm not gonna lie, not a good weekend for me, not a good weekend for the team in general, really. Obviously, Jake Dixon picking up that long lap penalty in free practice, then obviously myself and Jake had a little bit of contact in the sprint race, which really should not be happening between the two of us. I was locked off in both races. Obviously, that pretty much ruined my weekend. We still managed to score a few points, but yeah, we certainly could have finished a lot better. The sprint race, I think, was a bit of a lost cause anyway because of the soft tyre, but the main race, I think there was definitely top 5 on the cards, would have been our best result of the season so far, especially with those two crashing in front with Marquez and Rins. Definitely was an opportunity that we missed out on there, although through no fault of my own, we're lad, nothing you can do about a rider cutting the corner and just completely taking you out. But hopefully you have enjoyed that episode. If you are new to the channel, please do like the video and subscribe because it really does help me out. And of course, it is a win-win for both of us as you get some more MotoGP 26 game content in your subscription feed. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one.